Well, it was a good end to the season, a disappointing end to the season. It was a very mixed bag end of the season, but today we are back for the season review with Sunderland after our first full season in charge and a promotion to the Premier League. Welcome back to our Zero to Hero series, where we are, as I mentioned, doing the season review, playing through with Sunderland, preparing ourselves for life in the Premier League, and just reviewing how we did last season, really, which, as I mentioned, if you haven't seen the last episode, pop back, have a look at that. It was a little bit of a mixed bag. First thing to go through then, new arrivals. So Adam Davies, the pick of the bunch, at least on average rating. He didn't actually play that much on loan for Manchester City. Scored 6 goals, got 2 assists. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, I can't ask for much more than this, to be honest, in the short time he had here. I mean, we are also just going to make a bit of an inquiry about him. 18.5 to 27 million. I'd be game for sort of doing that, but it's very dependent on whether Man City will sell him. I'd be surprised if they would, and we'd have to pay for a lot of that in instalments. Cittadini coming in January as well. Has had a pretty decent season. Player of the season then, or signing of the season, Kerr Smith from Aston Villa. He was free. That is decent. He was free, played a bunch of games for us, got himself a rating over 7 as well. Hakan Harrison, our most expensive signing ever, at 9.5 million, made 16 appearances in the second half of the season again, and got himself over a 7 rating. I mean, I'm still very excited by this guy because he's got a bag of potential, and I think he could fulfill it now, especially as we get into the Premier League. Billy Brown on loan from Liverpool as well. We then brought Amir Sapi in, hasn't played a lot. Vangelis returning from Forest Green. I know it says West Brom there, but he's a Forest Green player. Cost us £2.9 million. He's done decently well. Same with Jason Sell. Jan-Erik Rek as well from St. Pauli. We can see cost us 1.3 million. Pretty excited by that, although his potential's gone down quite a lot. So maybe he needs to go out on loan next season. Vargas is my favourite signing by far. Chilean, 2.7 million, 22 goals in the league last season. Potential to be Premier League. Yes, please. Thank you very much. The guy's still 20. Plenty of time to improve. We brought in Cofford. We brought in Sukti, Moraria. Luke Smith on loan. He will join us permanently in the summer as well. Univar. Jacob Stornhoyer, a little bit of a letdown. Hasn't played that much. Got injured quite a lot. Hasn't done a lot when he's been in the team. And then Quinones ended up making 3 substitute appearances. We did get him on a free. He is here for a while. He instantly started complaining, saying he wanted to leave like a month after being here. So he probably goes. On the outside, some big outs this season. Anthony Patterson for 17 million is obviously the biggest one. Zach Emerson left the club for 3.9 million. Haboui, whose name I still can't pronounce, 7.5 million, £10 million for Luke Mbete. We've then got 2 million for Scott Allardyce, admittedly not quite as big, 2 million for Ross Stewart, but we made quite a bit of money. And we've had all these players out on loan as well. None of them have done fantastically, but like even Robson at Wickham, he's scored a few goals. He's not scored a lot, but he has scored a few goals. He's starting to improve a little bit. The thing is, I think now, if we're going to be making steps up to the Premier League, I don't know that a lot of these youth players are going to be good enough. So they're probably going to be get as much experience into them as possible, and then end up selling them. Right, Championship then. This is where it's a little bit disappointing. We were top of the league for about 25 weeks, and then we bottled it on the final day. But we did get promoted to the Premier League, and I guess that is the most important part. Not the silverware. It's just this run of form here. And I'm aware you can't quite see that behind my head. So let me just turn my face off a second. There we go. It's this run here. Obviously, the loss to Peterborough, the loss to Preston North End, the draw to Bristol, and then the loss to Brighton on the last day of the season is what ends up costing us the league. We only lost by 1 point. We dropped like 10 there. FA Cup, we managed to get through to the 5th round before we got knocked out by West Brom. And the Carabao Cup, we got knocked out pretty early on by Grimsby. Not exactly fun, especially getting knocked out by Grimsby. Biggest win was a 6-0 win against Coventry, where Vargas scored 5 goals in January. Match to remember, we beat West Brom 4-2 back in November. All very, very good stuff. What is going on here? I'm sorry. Somehow we've got less sponsorship, less broadcast revenue, and less competition prize money, although that's not less, that's just flat identical, when we have done much better this season. Matchday commercial and retail, a little bit up, and corporate and hospitality, a little bit up. Merchandise-wise, just over 19,000 shirts sold. Vargas, Matete, Univar, Sukti, and Anthony are top shirt sellers. Our lineup for this season then: Pettersson in goal, Rek, Ballard, Smith, and Siketi as our back four. I'd pretty much agree with that. Koffod at the base of midfield, yes, for the majority. Simon and Vangelis in midfield. Anthony and Hansen on the wings with Vargas up front is very, very close to what we played with a lot of this season. We personally won Championship Manager of the Month for December and March because we were amazing, and we got the club awards. Kerr Smith got the Fans Player of the Season, the Young Player of the Season, and the Signing of the Season. Goal of the season goes to Hansen. Top goal scorer is Vargas with 22 goals. Most assists is Hansen with 7. Still not enough. It's not enough assists, like, at all. We need a bit more creativity in this team. A couple of players who can do that. Hansen also gets the most player of the match awards with 5, and Kerr Smith gets highest average rating with 7.1. Record breakers: Vargas is the most goals in a season, the most goals by a player in a match with 5. Very unsurprisingly. And the most clean sheets in the season does go to Anar Pettersson, who managed to get 22 clean sheets in 44 games. So he kept a clean sheet every other game this season. It was definitely the right choice to let Patterson go and let this man play in goal. Dynamic management timeline then. I mean, I don't know how relevant it is. We got promoted here. Awesome. It's our 3rd promotion of this series. We've done one with Taunton, one with Forest Green, one with Sunderland. The only club we haven't got promotion with so far is Grimsby, and that is purely their fault. If they just kept us around a little bit longer, we would have gone and got them a promotion. And apparently I have nothing in my inbox. There it all is. It's all come back again. There, we're just going to deal with some staffing issues. Be right back with you. Right, done now. We're hiring some more staff. We're allowed some more staff now. We're in the Premier League, and I think it's important to have a full contingent of staff. Best 11 then. This is what it looks like. The only one getting added in from this season is Pettersson, who is only on the sub bench and still not better than Patterson, despite having the most clean sheets ever. But never mind, we're allowed that. Supporter profile update. We've gained 127,000 social media followers. We've got a few more fair weather fans. We've got a few less core fans, or percentage-wise anyway. Club vision expectation meeting. This is, what do we want next thing? They just want us to attempt to avoid relegation. I mean, I feel like we can live with that. We can attempt it, definitely. Whether it will end up happening or not, that's a completely other thing. What are we going to tell the team we're going to do, though? That's the main question. Let's just say I'm optimistic we can avoid relegation. Right, okay. Let's just go. Let's just do that. Look, all of you just go on your holidays. I don't want to talk to you anymore. You're all moody. You need to be a little bit more ambitious. We're going to go to France as well for our pre-season camp because I like France. And Sunderland are interested in Davies. Apparently Football Manager can hear what I was saying. I think the main important thing here then is this, and that is the £42 million transfer budget. That has gone up a little bit since yesterday's episode, but that's because we've received the transfer fee for Jay Matete already, who's heading over to Sheffield United. So in terms of the transfer budget, we've got that 42 million. We've got about £274,000 to spend in the wage budget as well. If we have a quick look at the squad and the first team, let's just do it from this way up because it's easier to see. These guys probably go back out on loan again. Jack Clark, he wants to leave. We'll move him on. That's fine. Univar, bit of an awkward one. I mean, he's 25. He's still got the room to improve a little bit, so he's probably a good backup. Jensen Selt as well. It's much the same thing. Probably a good squad depth player. Jacob Storm, I don't think he's been good enough this season. I think he goes out on loan. Eric Reck as well has been decent this season. Does he have the potential to be a Premier League player? I'm not too sure. Quinones probably goes. Jaden Anthony, I don't think ever makes the step up. It's probably time for Jaden Anthony to move on if we can find an improvement. Harvey White, again, it could be a good backup. I don't think he's the first choice player. Looking at the first choice players, Koffod probably stays here, and Hakan Harrison is right behind him. Hakan Harrison probably starts. Koffod rotates between the 3 players in the midfield. Pettersson stays in his first choice goalkeeper. Cittadini probably stays, I think, as well, and is probably the first defender on the team sheet. Matete's moving on. Ballard, probably now a squad depth option. Moreira, maybe stays, maybe goes. Vargas, absolutely, he stays. And then it kind of, the players in between that, it kind of depends if we find better players than them or not. I definitely think we keep exactly the same formation, and we have a look at bringing in Adam Davies. And then after that, we just kind of need to work out where are the best players we can bring in. I mean, if we have a look at our scouted list, just a second, we get rid of that and we go interested in transfer. Do any of these players make a massive difference to us? Maybe. I mean, there are some good players here. Hugo Vallejo here, you can see as well, is pretty decent. I think he'd be a good addition, but they are all a little bit older. Cole Palmer. Oh, I want to bring Cole Palmer in. Oh, I really want to bring Cole Palmer in. If there's a way of bringing Cole Palmer in, we're bringing Cole Palmer in. I've just said Cole Palmer a lot, but we used him at the Newcastle Beast save, and he was fantastic. Admittedly, then he was like 21, and he's 27 here. So I don't know if he'll still be the same amount of fantastic. Has he had any good seasons? He had a good season for Forest in the Championship. He's not really had a fantastic season in the Premiership. And also, he's quite a lot of money. I'm really not sure. I don't really know right this second what we're doing in this transfer window. I think we need to go and have a look, first of all, at contracts and who we want to keep. So we're looking at expires. Who expires next season? We've got a few that expire this season. We're not too worried about them. They're all loans. Ballard expires. Anthony, Harvey White, Clark, Matete, Univar, Selt, Sakete, Liddington, Sapir, Hayden Farmer, all of those expire next season. We need to work out which one of those we want to keep, which ones we need to offer more contract, whack everyone else on the transfer list, try and raise some funds, and build around the team that we've got already. And here is the first new signing of the season, a 19-year-old winger in the form of Eduardo Alvarez. We can see he's Chilean, so hopefully he actually links up really nice with Vargas up front. Are they going to be in the same national team? You'd assume they would be. And if we have a look at this guy, Premier League standard player already, could improve a lot. He's under 21 as well. He has cost us £17 million to bring in from Liverpool. We only bought him for 2.1 million, and he's never played a game for them. So we're taking a bit of a risk there, but he is an inside forward, which is what we play with. He's got 15 dribbling, he's got 16 finishing, he's got great first touch, his pacing reasonable. I mean, it's not fantastic, it's not a green, but it's reasonable. So I think he's going to be very, very important. So far, though, he is the only player we've managed to find and bring in. Matete, obviously just leaving the club as well. And we've just set a record for high spending. Long may it continue. Alvarez, obviously our most expensive signing as well. What we're looking at the moment is shoring up our defence. We're currently looking at Luke Coachman, who's an English 21-year-old right back. Looks really, really good. Been playing for Fulham. Wants to leave as well because Fulham have just got relegated. I think he would be very, very important. In the meantime, we're just having a look at our tactic. With this new signing, Alvarez would go in here, and this would kind of be our team for the next season. Now, we're just having a look at star ratings a second. I think you probably need to improve Liddington over at left back. Hakan Harrison is not necessarily the best player, but I think it's important he stays in the team. In here, we could play a number of players, but again, Simon can do a job. He's got great potential. So I think really it's a left back, it's a left winger, I'd imagine, and then we can just shore up the defence as much as we humanly can. We have got players on the transfer list as well. We'll see who we can offload, but at the moment, no one looking like they're going to leave. So we're just left with trying to find some players to bring in. We've brought in some more scouts. The transfer window is open. We've still got a bunch of money. Hopefully we find someone to actually spend it on in a minute. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some way to go, but it's already been a very, very busy transfer window. A transfer window in which, as you can see, we're on the 9th of July. We've gone quite a bit into the future as I was trying to get stuff sorted out. So we're going to have a look at the transfers. And I guess the first thing to look at would be the players we've actually sold. I don't think any of them are technically in last season now. Let me just have a gander at that. No, they weren't. I mean, Jay Matete going over to Sheffield United was the last one. So Looking over here then, Vangelis has left. He was only here for 1 season. It's a bit disappointing because I really like the player. We bought him for 2.4 million. We've sold him for 4.5 down to Middlesbrough in the Championship where he's going to be playing. I didn't think he was going to get as much gaming time as he would possibly want this season. And realistically, when you started looking at his potential, he probably wasn't someone worth investing that in. Dante Casanova has gone as well over to Watford in the Championship. We got him on a free. We sold him for 8.75 million because we have brought in another right back. So again, I thought he was probably third choice and we needed the income. Nasi Univar has gone as well. Another one who we got on a free. We sold him for 9.5 million to Basel over in Switzerland. I think that's a pretty good deal. He didn't exactly set the world alight in the Championship. So again, was he likely to do it in the Premiership? Probably not. And Jensen Selt has also gone, yet another player who we got on a free last season. We've moved on this season for 6.5 million. He's gone over to Lokomotiv Moscow over in Russia. On the inside, we've brought in 3, maybe 4 more players. Let's just have a look a second. Let's move all this around. Alvarez, you saw. Luke Coachman, you saw me looking at. But Luke Coachman has now joined the club, hence moving Casanova on as well. 21 years old, English, going to be playing in that fullback role, which he does really well. His crossing is fantastic. His stamina is great. He can still improve quite a bit as well. I mean, Premier League standard player who could improve significantly. So I think he's definitely one for the future. £27.5 million for him. If we have a look at it as well, he's got a relegation release clause. We've had to put stuff like release clauses in just to get these players to join. We're paying him £18,000 a week, which I think is a bit of a steal in all honesty, definitely on the wage side of thing. He was the last one there. Also on the inside, then we can see we've got 3 more players. Obviously, one of them is Luke Simon. Would we have signed him this window? Possibly not, but I'm genuinely at the point where we pulled the trigger on this one to activate his release clause or his contract release clause from him being on loan. I don't think we expected that we were going to get necessarily promoted straight up to the Premier League. Now we've hit the Premier League as well. This obviously changes stuff like the current ability and the potential ability just against the league that he's in. So he's a good Championship player and a decent Premier League player potential. Cost of 3.6 million. Obviously, that hasn't actually come out from this season's transfer budget. That's come out from last season's transfer budget at the point where we activated that. We've then brought in, who do we bring in next? Carlos Roberto, 22-year-old centre-back from Brazil. You can see he's played a little bit for the under-20s team in Brazil at international level as well. 4-star current ability and 4.5-star potential ability. I think this is a very good signing. Could improve significantly. I mean, he's going to be our main centre-back this season, 100%. There's no way he's not going to be. He wants to play as a non-nonsense centre-back. I don't think that's likely to be happening. He's probably going to be our central defender, maybe our ball-playing defender, because actually that's not horrific if you have a look at it. It's not great, but it's not horrific. I do laugh at the fact he's got 19 jumping reach, though, but only 10 heading. That's not quite as good. He cost us £14 million coming over from RB Leipzig in Germany, where he's been playing for a couple of seasons, very much a bit part role. They're probably quite happy because they're making a bit of profit on him after he's only played, 13 games for the club. Before that, he was obviously over in Brazil, having a wonderful time. Hopefully, he can cut it in the Premier League. He's another one, though. If we have a look at his contract, he has got a relegation release clause of 90 million and a minimum fee release clause for clubs in the Champions League of 31 million, which is a little bit concerning because the moment he's come in, he's worth 30 million already. So it's possible that a couple of these players we do end up losing, but then if we bought him in for 14 and we sell him tomorrow for 31 million, and then we brought in Christian Asamoah, a Dutch left back who once plays fullback, probably plays as a wing back unless we change over to a fullback, which potentially we could with the players we've got. He's come over to us from Herenheven in the Netherlands. He's cost us 22 million. None of that's installments. It was a straight 22 million to activate his release clause, but it was the only way our board would actually let us do that deal. They wouldn't let us pay any of it installments because it took us over 22 million and they thought it was too expensive. Minimum fee release clause of 54 million pound. So if somebody activates that again, we've made a nice little bit of transfer fee. Current ability, we can see 4 stars, potential of 5 stars. He's already a Premier League standard player. Again, he's going to be our starting left back this season. There's a lot of young players in here at the moment. There are a lot of young players in it. I think as it stands, let's just ignore that. I'll explain this one in a minute. We probably change this round. Maybe Harvey White starts there. Maybe Kofod starts there and Suckney starts in next to him. I think our squad would look something like this at the start of the season at the moment. So Pettersson remains in goal. We've then got Asamoah, who we've just seen over at left back. Carlos Roberto we brought in at centre back. Ballard potentially there as the ball playing defender, but more likely I think it's Cittadini. We've then got Coachman, who we brought in from Fulham at right back, which that now looks pretty solid. I mean, our worst defenders are 3.5 star in the Premier League. That looks decent. And then got Hakan Harrison in defensive midfielder position. He's not great at the moment, only 2.5 stars of current ability. But again, we're very aware he's got some decent potential in him, so we want to keep playing him. Kofod in front of him, maybe. I'm a little bit unsure of that. Suckney again next to him, 2.5 stars, but got decent potential on him. We could probably do with improving this area a tiny bit if we can. The same with this. We've got Anthony over on the left at the moment. Alvarez, the signing we saw earlier, over on the right. And Vargas just has to remain up front. He's still got great potential on him. He was absolutely brilliant last season. If he can carry that over into the Premier League, we're in for a good season. We have also got a couple of trials on. One of them is a 39-year-old Jordan Henderson. Not really a player I'd normally go for, but AM1, he looks like he's going to be the best player at the squad, and he has to have a model citizen personality. So even if we bring him in just for one season and a bit of squad depth, and then he can mentor our younger players, maybe get the likes of Hakan Harrison up to Premier League level by mentoring them, then I think it'd be a good signing. What I am worried about is how much he's going to ask for in terms of a contract, and we can't find that out because he has no agent currently. The other one we bought in, which is quite a funny one as well, is Jack Grealish on trial. I generally don't think he actually looks good enough for this team. I mean, he's got some fantastic ability. So again, if we could bring him over in that left wing spot, as he'd agreed to be a squad player, let's say, and maybe a very decent contract for us, then it might be worthwhile. I think he probably doesn't come in. He's been over at Spurs for the last couple of seasons, hasn't necessarily had a massive impact, and for a player they signed for £27 million, they've just let him go on a free. I mean, he didn't play at all last season, or is that this season? 29-30. No, that is this season. I hate that shows that up because he's got released this season. There's no need to show this season up. I think we have just got one more transfer we are having a look at the moment, which is this guy over at left wing position, in which case we definitely wouldn't need Grealish, because I'd much prefer to bring in a 19-year-old with bags of potential rather than 33-year-old Jack Grealish. We have still got a little bit of transfer budget, 9 million. This guy would cost us 2.5 up front. We haven't got a lot of wage budget. We are going to need, I think, to offload somebody, but I'm not entirely sure who yet. If we had a look down here, Daniel Cameron, Jack Clark, we are trying to offload pretty actively, but nobody wants him, which is a bit annoying because he's not going to get any game time. I mean, if we have a look at last season, he only played 9 games. He's definitely not getting any game time in the Premier League. Magnet Hansen, we do want to keep. Jacob Storm Hoye, I'd quite like to get out on loan. But again, we can't find anyone that wants him. Let's just offer him at 20% of the wages and a regular starter and see if anyone will take him then. Robbie Lillington needs to stay here. He is wanted by Dundee United on loan. There's no way he's going out on loan. He's staying here. Jan-Erik Rek is the same thing because he can cover at left and right back. Most likely at right back this season. Hayden Farmer is a little bit of an awkward one because I don't think he's likely to get any game time. So potentially we offer Hayden Farmer out for loan as well. Let's see if we can get the full 100% for him, which will cover some of our wages. Jensen Quinones is underbid, but for free, so we're not going to get any money for him, but it would save us £9,000 in wage budget. Jaden Anthony again. Jaden Anthony is a bit of an issue just because we've obviously sold Univar, so we kind of need Jaden Anthony, but he is on one of the highest wages at the club by Bob Asamoah, who we just bought, and he is by far the highest paid player at the club now. But Jaden Anthony is just here, so he's getting paid a lot of money, and I don't know if we use him that much this season, so he's a little bit of a problem. Same with Harvey White. I mean, he probably plays quite a bit this season. Kerr Smith, another one. I mean, he's unhappy at the moment because of our new centre back that came in, so he feels he's being pushed out by Carlos Roberto. which I've just realised as well. Carlos Roberto. Really? A Brazilian defender called Carlos Roberto? I hadn't really acknowledged that, but now I have. It's quite funny. So we're just going to continue going through, see how this team performs in the pre-season, see if we can potentially get some more transfers underway, and see what we're looking like when we get to the first 2 games of the season. Well, directly after I signed off, we have got our new signing that I was showing, and I've just realised he is actually a wonder kid. I think this is our first wonder kid. It is. This is our first wonder kid at Sunderland. Rolf Joran Jotun. Going to be playing over here. I mean, I'd like to continue playing an inside forward, but potentially we do just have to change this and make him a winger, although he is strong on either foot. So realistically, probably could play as an inverted winger or as an inside forward. We kind of decide that as the season goes on. He's probably not great as an inside forward, but is all right as an inverted winger. Either way, a wonder kid, as we can see, 3.5 stars of current potential, already Premier League standing, could improve a lot, and he's under 21 as well, which is an absolute fantastic signing for us. So now we have a look at this. Anthony gets pushed out. We bring Jotun in there, and it probably means Anthony. I mean, I say Grealish gets pushed out. Maybe we could sign Grealish as a bit more of an experienced player and push out Anthony. Or maybe we keep Anthony and we push out Grealish. Let me just have a look at dynamics. Who are our most important players? We've got Ballard, Anthony and Clark. So realistically, with Clark probably leaving, or at least we're trying to get the leave, no one wants him still. Just no one wants him. Maybe we keep Anthony because we want Anthony and Ballard to be here as kind of our old heads leaders. Simon, White, Coffin and Smith. Well, then are highly influential players. Simon probably plays a bit. I don't remember making him vice captain at all. I genuinely don't remember that, but okay, whatever. White and Coffin probably play a bit. Kerr Smith probably plays a little bit. And then down here, we've obviously got all the other players. So we're kind of keeping an eye. I don't feel like there's a need for Grealish unless he really, really wants to come over for no money whatsoever. They'd also like to extend my contract at Sunderland. Yep, that would be absolutely fantastic. How much money are you going to offer me for that, though? Around about £14,000 a week at the moment, if I remember correctly. We'll just have a look at that. And the squad are unhappy with the treatment of Kerr Smith. I mean, that's not great. Apparently some of you aren't happy with how things are going. Why aren't you doing more to give Kerr Smith the assurance he wants back his playing time? Well, I don't think he's going to play that much of him. I mean, I have told him he can just earn as much playing time as he wants. I basically said we want people to be challenging for those positions. I mean, let's not... okay. That's not worked very well, has it? Let's just leave it here for now. Let's just ruin the squad dynamics as we head into the Premier League. That's great. Kerr Smith, as we can see, he's unhappy. Suckedy wants a new deal. I don't feel I want to give him one. Jack Clark wants to move on. And Quinones, I mean, Quinones, it will be leaving. Jack Clark, just go. We're trying to get you gone. You don't want to go. Let's offer him out for... How much did we pay for him when they brought him in? 3.5 million, but that was many seasons ago. So let's see if we can get 2 million for him. I'd like to get some money for him, but equally not at the cost of ruining squad dynamics and all of that lovely stuff. So we can just get him gone. That would be lovely. I just want to see as well how much Sunderland are going to give us as a new contract. What are they willing to offer us? Offer us a new contract now before we ruin all the squad dynamics and you have a reason to fire us. That would be the ideal situation. And before we start losing to the likes of Man City in the Premier League, that would be great as well. Right, we have got a couple of offers here for Jack Clark as well. We're going to accept one and then we're going to offer him back out for 2.5, and we're just trying to bump up that price slowly, which is a great way of selling your players. I want as much money as humanly possible for them. That guy looks quite good, £34 million, a little bit out of my price range. We're not offering that on loan, and they want to offer us a new contract. I mean, that's not great for a Premier League manager really though, is it? We'll start negotiations anyway. Our current contract is 16,000 a week. I mean, for a Premier League manager, that's not great, but I'm also very aware there's no one at the moment that I'd want to go to. So let's just do that. Can we get rid of this then? 21,000, 22,000. We're settled on 22,000. Yeah, sure. No worries. I mean, I keep an eye on what's happening over here. and there wasn't really much management changes this season. You'd want to go to one of these big clubs like a Chelsea, a Liverpool, Man United, or a smaller club with some potential like Spurs, potentially Wolves. Wolves aren't necessarily a smaller club, but I think there's someone you could build a lot with. Barcelona would be fantastic, that sort of club, but none of those are available at the moment, so we stick with Sunderland for another 3 years or so, whatever it is we just agreed. I didn't take that much notice, I'm not going to lie. And we just continue trying to build this team as best as we can. Here we go then, boys and girls. We are at the first match of the Premier League, which is going to be in the next episode. Not a lot has happened at the end of this transfer window. Jack Clark has ended up leaving the club. He's gone to Charlton over in the Championship for 1.4 million. Have they just got promoted? Were they in the Championship with us last season? They were not. They did just get promoted, which kind of tells you where sort of Jack Clark's ability lies at the moment. It's probably the right decision just to offload him. The only other player we have brought in, we did end up bringing in Jordan Henderson, 39 years old. I completely concede that. But I think the actual attributes he got is enough for 1 season. He's only got 1 season contract. I'd imagine he'll retire at the end of this season, and potentially we can bring him on as a coach or something like that. But I think definitely as a model citizen, you can see at the moment, if we head over to our training actually very quickly, he's mentoring Joran Jotun, who we brought in, and Robbie Liddington. I'm fine with that. If he can give some of his model city-ness to these 2 players, I think that's absolutely fine. 19 and 21, he can definitely teach me a few things. He's going to be an important player this season nonetheless. I think this is kind of the lineup we're looking at as we head into the first game of the season, which will be against Wolves. We've got Peterson remains in goal. We've got new boys Asamoah and Carlos Roberto and Coachman in the defence. Ballard remaining in there. Cittadini can come in there as well. Kerr Smith could come in there eventually when he stops being moany. Hakan Harrison remains in the side. We've changed this to a deep line playmaker just to get the best out of him. We were playing with a halfback, but if you look at the difference of his ability, he's much better suited to this deep line playmaker role. So hopefully we see a little bit more of him this season. He was decent last season, to be fair, but I just think maybe we get a little bit more out of him. He is being classed as a Premier League standard player, which is good to see. We've then got Koffod and Henderson in front of him again. Koffod the worst of those 2 at 3 stars. We've got a few players we could bring in there. Harvey White could come in as well. Sukti could come in. Luke Simon can come in there. Over on the left, we've got Jotun again behind him. You've then got Jaden Anthony, I think, and potentially Hoye over on the right hand side. At the moment, we've got Hansen in there. Alvarez is still injured. He's going to be injured for another 2 weeks. He came back from injury and then got injured in the last friendly before this. So Hansen going to be starting there. Vargas again. Behind him, we've got Hansen, we've got Hoye, we've got Evan Robinson. I'd quite like to bring in a couple more players. I think we're more looking at loans now. If you look at our finances, we've got £6 million left in the bank. We've only got £5,000 left in the transfer budget, so in the wage budget, sorry. So probably loans. I'd like a striker to sit behind Vargas or maybe sit in front of Vargas. That kind of depends, but to be challenging him. And I'd like someone else. Maybe someone else over here. I mean, realistically, Alvarez is going to be playing there, and then Hansen challenges him, or he challenges for that spot and that spot. But I think we need one other player to sit and challenge for one of these 3 spots. If we could get another central midfielder as well, that would be fantastic. But I think we're pretty much done in terms of our transfer business. Now it is turning our attention to the league, and the start of that, we've got Wolves and Everton in our first 2 games, followed by Southampton and Man United. So it could be a decent start. We'll kind of be able to judge where we are at the end of tomorrow's episode, I think. If you have enjoyed this one, though, please do drop a like down below, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you there. Bye-bye.